Okay, my name is Bobby Vaught. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you so choose. In the description below, I'll put a link to lesson 1 of a series that I've done, Everything You Need to Know to Understand Investing, lessons 1 through 17. Put a link to lesson 1 in the description below. And so in each lesson has a link in the description to the next one. So lesson 1 has a link to lesson 2, which has a link in the description to lesson 3, and so on and so forth. Make them all real easy to find. If you're interested, you will understand investing better than 99.9% of the people out there. Okay? So, today's presentation is not about that. However, there's two different parts of this channel. There's the investing side, which I just mentioned, and then there's also, I do a lot of political, social economics commentary, that kind of thing, which in fact is today. The hot topic, or one of them, other than Iran and a lot of things, but one of the hot topics right now is what's going on in Minnesota regarding Renee Good. We all well know what happened there in the immediate aftermath of that. I want you to take a quick listen here to, I'm just only going to play about just a few seconds of this. Tim Walz, governor of Minnesota, and as you know, and then we'll comment on it. So I'm going to maybe just blow it up here real big here so you get the full flavor of it. And turn the camera around, and here we go.
Again to Donald Trump and Kristi Noem. End this occupation. You've done enough.
That wasn't even 10 seconds, about 6 seconds. Okay, so, in this occupation. Well, okay, let's analyze this. Here's the thing, I don't even have television service. I haven't bothered with it in more than 5 years now, since September 6th of 2020. This is now January 17th of 2026. So call that, roughly 5 years and 4 months, something like that. Basically, all I do is I kind of get an idea. I look on the internet, social media, the internet. I see what's going on. I look at various podcasts and the like, and I look at things and just see it and analyze it, okay? So here's Tim Walz. He's saying to Trump and Kristi Noem, in this occupation. This is really fascinating to hear this because for a number of reasons. First off, ICE, they are federal agents. And regardless of what anyone thinks of Renee Good shooting, ICE does have jurisdiction in Minnesota. Okay? So, I mean, I hear, and it's nuanced, but I'm going to get back to that in a second. So I hear Tim Walz say something like that, and it dawns on me. So he's taking it upon himself to say, in the occupation, in other words, in context, he's saying ICE needs to get out of Minnesota. He's taking it exclusively on himself to say this. Is this a 10th Amendment issue on his part? Is that where Walz was going with that? ICE was created in 2003 during Bush. And so ICE was used by Bush, Obama, Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden, and then of course Trump again. So this is someone on the left making a states' rights claim. Now think of the irony of that. So, I mean, it seems to me if Walz wants to call this an occupation, he might want to take the question of who has jurisdiction to enforce federal immigration law to a court case. He hasn't done that. We're only just, 3 or 4 days, just a few days, roughly after Renee Good. And here he is saying, in this occupation of ICE. So in any event, I mean, if he wants a court case, good luck with that, considering when an illegal immigrant comes, and that person is not just coming to a state, but coming to a country. But according to Walz, now federal agents, ICE, is to be considered an occupation. So Walz doesn't think U.S. ICE agents have jurisdiction in his state. He may want to consider a court case, but if this is a 10th Amendment issue, well, I mean, just say so. Take it to court. It did dawn on me, I mean, if he doesn't want to do that, perhaps the next thing he could consider, I mean, in lieu of a court case, might be something like, I don't know, advocating secession, Minnesota. I have no idea. An occupation. I mean, that brings up a lot of legal questions. And by the way, so no, I'm not a constitutional lawyer. I'm not a lawyer at all. But I do think I know, probably know more about the Constitution than most people. I kind of pay attention to stuff like that quite a bit. But in any event, I just found it ironic as someone on the left, on the political left, clearly, Tim Walz making a states' rights argument. I just find that fascinating. It's not the first time. When you really think about it, the left has been doing this, making a states' rights argument on illegal immigration for quite some time. So I'm digging deeper, even deeper into this. Took me a couple of hours. Really opened up a can of worms. I mean, I was like, oh boy, make some coffee. Digging deeper into this, Minnesota hasn't declared itself sanctuary. The state of Minnesota has not declared itself a sanctuary state. In fact, let's just clarify, make sure we got that straight here. Minnesota is not officially a sanctuary state by federal definition, but major cities like Minneapolis, St. Paul, along with some counties, implement local policies limiting cooperation with federal immigration enforcement, leading those areas to be labeled as sanctuary-like jurisdictions. Okay. All right, so it turns out there's there's two different levels of sanctuary here. I hadn't really thought about that before, but in any event, so Minnesota hasn't declared itself sanctuary. Minnesota, St. Paul has that Twin Cities area, but I mean, there's different levels here of what sanctuary is. So it appears that sanctuary states or cities means different things depending. Some sanctuary states merely say that locals and state police can't assist federal ICE. In other words, they're saying they have to remain passive on the matter, so to speak. But there is a difference between a passive activity versus something proactive. So I would take a pretty good guess that if it were in court, that the federal government can't require proactive assistance from a state or local law enforcement in helping federal agents enforce federal immigration law. Fine. But neither can a sanctuary area proactively get in the way either. Or can they? Yeah. Some states, California, for example, SB 54, 2017, it passed. It was called the California Values Act. Essentially, and this is an AI overview I did right here. I'm just going to read it. This is what it said. Limit state and local police cooperation with federal immigration authorities, ICE, by prohibiting them from enforcing federal immigration laws, investigating, interrogating, or arresting people for immigration purposes. So, California's SB 54 is proactive. It says, nope, we're going to prohibit ICE from enforcing federal immigration laws. Huh. Yeah, that's interesting. So that's something proactive on the part of the state of California to prevent ICE from doing its job. Dang, I didn't realize there were different levels of sanctuary protection. Mere passive protection, we're not going to help you, versus proactive sanctuary protection for illegal immigrants, we're going to prohibit federal agents from doing their job. Okay, so California's Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals is a federal court, actually decided it was legal to proactively prevent ICE from doing their job. It was upheld in court. Really. It did occur to me, it seems that if Trump were really a king, dictator, etc., as the left has been claiming. They even had a big No King's Day. If he were really a dictator, the left, as they've been claiming, that Trump would have already, I don't know, sent in the U.S. military on that one, or I don't know what, but he didn't do that. Nope. What Trump did was he took SB 54 to court. He lost. So Trump takes that to court. He lost because it was California's Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Go figure. But to date, the Supreme Court, the United States Supreme Court, has not heard that case. It hasn't gone up to the Supreme Court. Yeah, I'm finding out. Okay. So, but anyway, so the point I was getting at, though, is that Trump took that case to court, which is what Walz is not doing in Minnesota. Walz just uses this occupation narrative and says, in essence, get out of my state. Walz didn't even consult with the Minnesota state legislation on that. Nope. You know how I know that? Because the Minnesota state legislature isn't even in session. I mean, I'm looking at the date. It's mid-January. So I took a pretty good guess on that and looked it up. They're not in session. The Minnesota state legislature doesn't even convene again until February the 17th. This is January 17th. So Walz, here's Walz. No need for a court case in Minnesota. And he doesn't even bother asking the Minnesota state legislature much of anything. This is only a couple of days ago. He goes on television and says, how do he put it again? End the occupation. Get out of my state. Who's the dictator again? Oh yeah, right. Kind of starting to sound to me like it's Tim Walz. I mean, how else does he take it exclusively upon himself to make that determination that ICE needs to leave Minnesota with no court case, without even asking the Minnesota state legislature anything? So SB 54 was upheld by California's Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Go figure. It's the Ninth Court. So to date, the U.S. Supreme Court has yet to take that up. I think I covered that. In any event, so it just fascinates me how it's the political left that suddenly discovered states' rights. I mean, that is just one, at least on the matter of who can enforce federal immigration law. I mean, that is just one amazing irony. So Tim Walz has now decided to use the occupation narrative. No court case, no need to go to the Minnesota state legislature, nothing. Just goes on television, says, get out of my state. Who's the dictator again? Yeah. In any event, that's it for today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you so choose. Again, there's that series, Everything You Need to Know to Understand Investing, if you're interested. Until next time, hope life is treating you well. You have a great day.